Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Nishmat Mordechai. Hashem will say some Tehillim at the end of the Shir. Shir is dedicated to the situation in Israel. All those who need a Rafua, Yeshua, who need extra support from Hashem, the hostages, and the neshamas, and Mashiach should come soon. As you know, we tried to finish half a Shas last night. There's still 450 dapim out of 1,400. So we took basically almost 1,000 daf was taken already. So it's an amazing accomplishment if it stops right now. My son took a bunch of dapim. I took 14 daf. Guess what Masechta I took? Anybody? Shkalim. Hey, you saw? Why would you get shkalim? Yeah, I took shkalim. I figured I need to do tshuva. I might as well do some shkalim. So these are the dapim that are available. If you look over here, you can see. Gershon Rose writes, Rabbi Yishai Stro, MDY Rosh HaKollel. So first of all, he's not MDY Rosh HaKollel. He's the Rosh HaKollel that is in MDY. In other words, MDY has a kollel that we learn Daf Yomi, and the Rosh HaKollel is my chavrusa, Rabbi Didi Kramer. Every morning, Rabbi Shaya Stro comes. He's not part of that MDY kollel. He happens to be a Rosh kollel, and he comes every day this year. Okay, so he, just to explain, visited our shul in Manchester. MDY was the connection to us. We valued additional offerings beyond the Daf Yomi. It offers so much more. He came to share insights during Shal Shudas and spoke again after Mayer, counted miracles during the Fulham massacre, and expanded on Torah Hashkafa regarding the Golos. So Shkoyach, I really missed the Ilum over there, but I'm having a lot of fun here in Chicago while I'm here. To the Rashke Bahag, the Tzaddik, the Goyin, insert your own praises of rebellion here. This is from, I'm not going to call him a let's, but Rabbim, Jonathan Stefansky. As part of the Chazorah campaign in memory of Binyamin early, been doing a few dafim brachas, 49 to whatever, I can't read what it says there. Wanted to share some interesting observations how different the Shir was 3.5 years ago. That's what everybody comes to tell me. I've been doing other Masechtas, brachas, Shabbos, things have changed drastically since then. And he goes on to explain first, I noticed the kiss from Hashem. These are all probably jokes. Sometimes he's serious, sometimes he's not. Having randomly selected these daf, first off, these daf covered the halachas of benching, zimon, etc., which are the same halachas we just learned in detail last month in Smichas Chaver program. So it's nice to actually know all the halachas the Gemaras were discussing that probably serious. Secondly, these daf were the same week as the very first special Rosh Chodesh Adar Shir. That's his Shir. But wow, things have changed in the 3.5 years since these shiurim. The Beis Medrash had white walls, no bookcases, standalone Aron Kodesh. Forget about the 3D movies, you're still using paper charts. But most disturbing, on Daf Nun Amud Aleph, the Gemara talks about a medactic, whatever, I don't know, he calls it perfectionist. And I realize how much you improved in this area. You allow people in your viewing windows, especially in Nachman. People even put a box of pizza in front of the camera. You allow people to pass behind you. You said it was too quiet and asked people if they had any questions. You said nothing when it was super noisy with people talking. The camera was shaky on the table. It was my camera. It was my iPhone. I would put the iPhone down and just record like this, basically what we're doing here. And it was on the table. So anytime somebody moved the table, the whole yes. And today we have these super expensive cameras from 40 feet away from the room up there is Givaldic. The camera was shaking on the table with bad lighting. The shiur were actually 45 minutes long and much more. Baruch Hashem, some things never changed, and Dr. Factor still interrupted you. But by far the strangest thing was that some guy who looks like your 10 years younger brother, was giving the shiur. Wow. Oof, that hurts. This should be a lesson to all of us to work on our midas and constantly improve. Looking forward to seeing you back in Eretz Yisrael soon, Jonathan. He doesn't realize that's why I'm not back in Eretz Yisrael. I'm just people like him. Who needs friends? Hello, on behalf of Naftali Ben Channa family, I would like to thank you for your dedicating the shir as a rafua shlema. Okay, I wasn't sure if we're doing it, if they're doing it, maybe they're doing it. I have no idea. I'll have to ask Yosef. I also wanted to clarify that it was Reb Chaim that gave Naftali a bracha and stated that kիצד הרגל should be learned. Please see attached picture. Thank you again. Naftali Ben Channa family should have rafua shlema. The Masechta is sponsored for the unity of Am Yisrael. Parakeets of the Regel, table 6 for Naftali Ben Channa, who was in a skiing accident almost 2 years ago. Is paralyzed from his waist down. And Reb Chaim said we should learn Parakeets of the Regel for him. Parnas HaChodesh, this is the last day. The Nishmat Zechrya Ben Moshe and leilo Nishmat Chaya Bas Yosef. Parnas HaChodesh. Vorstellung von Dvora Bas Sora, the mother of Gershon Ben Moshe. Parnas HaChodesh, Hatzlocha L'zechus Yosef Mayer ben Rochel and yidden worldwide. Parnas HaChodesh, leilo Nishmat Chaneh bar Elimelech. Parnas HaChodesh number 5. Leilo Nishmat Mendel ben Pinchas. Parnas HaYom, no one. Parnas of the art of the month. Yosef ben Chaya Sarah for all the schusim that come from supporting Limud HaTorah. Rabbi says somebody sent in this video, and here's the question that I have. What's going on here? Is this negifa, be'ita? You want to see that again? I think it's good to see again. Here we go. Look carefully. It's a nice big cow. Knocks a motorcyclist off his motorcycle. Looks like a motorcycle.
The guy in the beginning of the picture send him. What's the guy doing in the front?
Regel.
I don't know. Oh, he's saying this like the guy with the dog. Shisa boys akelav.
It's Regel.
Who says Regel? Who else? And what did anybody say? What do you say? Karen.
I thought it was
Negicha. I think he's right. You know, he made, what's your name again? Remind me your name?
Yaakov Subak.
Subak. He made his very first siyum ever now on Kiddushin, right?
Right.
At the age of 60.
62.
And he made a very nice chart. I didn't look at it yet. I looked at some of it. I gave him some R's because I think it's a great idea to make a chart of the Karen, the Regel. We did not discuss this case, but I believe he's right. I don't think it's Negicha. Negicha means that he went to damage. What happened was this cow, in my opinion, look, I'm not a mumcha, but if you look at it again, the cow was spooked out or something. Somebody let him go, so he started running. He didn't want to knock into the motorcycle guy. That's not what he wasn't going after the cyclist. It hurt him. He got a bang from it. He was just walking. That's Regel. He's right. It's Regel. He's moving. He has no honor from it. It's not Chen, because Chen he would have honor from it. It's not Karen, because Karen means he's going to do damage. He saw a motorcycle. Sometimes you see there's the videos of an elephant getting mad. He takes a motorcycle and throws it 20 feet. Takes a van, throws it this way. That's Karen. This, stop. He was walking. Okay. Anyway, just thought I would show it to Doyle. Rabbi said we were in the middle of the Mishnah on Daf Amud Beis, and that's this case that we just saw is in this Mishnah. It says real quickly because we're middle, but it's fine. We could do it again. Kıtzad. What's the case of a bull that does damage in the damaged party's property? Nogach, Nogaf, Noshach, Rovatz, Boat, B'shus Harabim, with his horn, with his body, with his teeth. He sat down, he kicked. These are all told us of Karen. Mishalem Chatzinezek, if Mishalem Chatzinezek, B'shus HaNizek. Rabbi Tarfon Oimer Nezek Shalem, Chamorim Chatzinezek. So, time out. B'shus Harabim is Chatzinezek. B'shus HaNizek, Rabbi Tarfon Oimer Nezek, what? What do you say? Please. Anyway, so Rabbi Tarfon Oimer, B'shus HaNizek. Here's the point. If it's in B'shus HaNizek, Rabbi Tarfon Oimer Nezek Shalem, Chamorim Chatzinezek, we have a machlokes. What happens if it's in the damaged property? The damaged person's property. Rabbi Tarfon says a full amount you have to pay. Chacham say Chatzi Nezek. Karen is Chatzi Nezek. We don't know more than Chatzi Nezek. Now, what's Rabbi Tarfon's reason? Omar Lem Rabbi Tarfon. Here we are. We have a kavachomer. Uma b'mokim shehekel ala shen b'ala regel b'shus harabim shu potter. If there's a kula when it comes to shen and regel, there's zero payment in b'shus harabim, but you pay the full amount. The shalom nezek shalom, you pay the full amount. When there's a shen in private property of the damaged party, if we say that you have to pay half an amount in the Rishus HaRabim when you're a Karen, so how much should he pay in the Rishus HaNizek? Certainly he should pay in Yidden Shenachmir Olav B'Rishus HaNizek L'Shalem Nezek Shalem. So now I'm going to go make sure this is on YouTube. Now check this out. Yoshi, I think, did a phenomenal job here. We have Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah. Wait a second. Oh, maybe now.
Well, not yet.
No, it's a delay.
Okay, there's a little bit of a delay. Fine. So we're talking about Rosh Hashanah. So let's check this out. There's a hot air balloon made out of feathers. It's very light. And in that, there's a shen and a regel. It's not a foot. And a shen eating. Shen and regel in Rosh Hashanah, what's the halacha? Potter. So it's green. Now we go to the next thing. That's not working. I don't know why this is not working. Oh. Karen in Rosh Hashanah, how much do you pay? Chatzi nezik. So Karen is heavier. You see, the hot air balloon is full of stones. It weighs more. So now we take that over to the Rosh Hashanah on the other side. Shen and regel. Before, Shen and regel was light. It was potter completely. Now Shen and regel, you pay the full amount. So certainly Karen should pay nezik shalom. Okay, that's the Kal V'chomer. Make sense? Shen v'regel and Rosh Hashanah, you don't pay anything yet. Karen, you pay half. So in Rosh Hashanah, where Shen pays the full amount, Karen should pay everything. So say Chachamim Amru Loi Dayoy. So we're learning a new concept today. We actually mentioned the other day. Dayoy. Dayoy means enough. Let's make a limit. Your whole power of this Kal V'chomer comes from the right side, from Karen, half a nezik. So in the rules of a Kal V'chomer, you can't do a Kal V'chomer that exceeds the place that you learn from. You're learning from half a nezek in Rosh Hashanah. So take a look what Yoshi did there. I think it's very clever. Dayoy. The dayoy, the stop sign, pushes it back to the limit. It says, no, you can't learn that Karen should be a full amount. Karen could only be a half amount because you're learning Karen from Karen. So dayoy. Okay, so again, dayoy means from the place that you wanted to learn from. What did you want to learn? You wanted to learn from Rosh Hashanah, Karen pays half. So certainly in the Rosh Hashanah, you should pay a whole. Doesn't make sense. Dayoy, let's limit it to from where you're learning it. Where you're learning from is half, so we'll pay half. Says the Mishnah. So you can't learn more than the Kal V'chomer from the original part of the Kal V'chomer. Amar lahem, afani lo yadun Karen mekaren. I don't agree with you, but just to be fair to you and make it an even fight. First of all, I could use my Kal V'chomer. I don't agree with what you're saying, and the Gemara is going to explain why it doesn't agree. Because in this situation, or even the Mishnah is going to explain, we don't use dayoy in this case. But ani lo yadun Karen mekaren, ani yadun Karen meregel. I'm going to do the Kal V'chomer a little differently. I'm going to go like this. He says, first of all, dayoy. Okay, it's a concept in Shas dayoy. Let's limit your Kal V'chomer. He says, let's learn, instead of learning Karen from Regel, we're going to learn the Rosh Hashanah, the Rosh Hashanah from Rosh Hashanah, so to speak, with using components of Karen and Regel. It's basically the same Kal V'chomer, just we're looking at it a little differently. Now what? In the place. Now we're not looking at Regel as much as we're looking at the place called Rosh Hashanah. In Rosh Hashanah, we were makel and we said Shen doesn't have to pay at all. Karen, yet in that place we said that Karen does have to pay. So when we take it to Rosh Hashanah, here, let's go over here. In that place called Rosh Hashanah, Shen was kal, was a hot air balloon made out of feathers. Yet Karen was chomer, it weighed more. It's made out of stones, and you had to pay chatzi nezek. So certainly in a place called Rosh Hashanah, which were very machmer over there, and we said that even Shen has to pay the full amount. It's chomer, so certainly Karen should be chomer. Still, we could invoke dayoy. Why? Because We're still using the Chatzi Nezek. On the right side, it still says, look, it says in the circle, Chatzi Nezek by Karen. So I have to come onto the Chatzi Nezek. So on the left side, I can't have more than on the right side. If we're starting off with Chatzi Nezek, so we're going to stay with Chatzi Nezek. We can't go more than that. And if you don't understand the concept of the Dayoi well enough, we're going to see other examples, and it's going to become clear Be'ezer Hashem. Okay, so that's the Mishnah. So basically, Reb Tarfon has a Kavachomer, and he says that if you do damage in somebody else's property, you have to pay the full amount. And he has a Kavachomer from Shem V'Regel and Shuzram. Chacham say no, you can't use such a Kavachomer. It's Dayoi. Dayoi means stop. The Kavachomer. What does the Torah say? How much do you pay in Karen? The Torah tells us you pay half. So I don't know how much you pay in the Rishus HaNizuk. The Torah doesn't talk about it. So Reb Tarfon wants to make a Kavachomer. Chacham say no, it's limited to what we know from the Torah. Says the Gemara, Reb Tarfon lets the Dayah. What? Reb Tarfon doesn't hold this concept Dayah. So we're going to have a whole sugya. Maybe this one doesn't hold the Dayah. Maybe this one doesn't hold the Dayah. At the end of the day, everybody holds a Dayah. Okay? There's no argument that there's something called Dayah. Just the argument is, do we always say it? When do we say it? How do we say it? When Dayah der Reisahu, it's in the Torah, the Sanya. Midin, Kavachomer, Keitzad. How do we even know this whole concept of Kavachomer? Where is it in the Torah? And what are the rules? Because it says the famous pasuk, Vayomer Hashem al Moshe. It's talking about that Miriam spoke Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu, and she became tzuras. She got tzuras, and Hashem says to Moshe, Va'avia Yorak Befoneha. If her father spit at her, she's going to be humiliated and should be put aside for 7 days. Yeah? If you spit at if your father spits at you, your father spits at a kid. So there's humiliation. We don't really have it that much, but in certain societies, humility, my honor, I'll chop your head off. You humiliated the family. Both your own daughter in the front, in the backyard, in front of the whole neighborhood, chop the head off. I guess that's how it used to be somewhat. If the father spat at you today, if the father spits at you, you punch in the face, you call up the police, whatever, the whole thing. Those days, if the father spits at you, it's oy vavoy. You go into a corner by yourself for 7 days. Now, we'll talk about it a little bit more. If Hashem's saying, Hashem doesn't finish it off the Kavachomer. Hashem says the first part. What if a father spit at a child? Wouldn't that child have to be in Chayrim for 7 days? So we're saying, so that's a father, Basar Adam. What about the father of all fathers, Melech Malchei Amlachim? We got to double it. So you'd have to go 14 days. So then the Torah, we invoke Dayoi. We only know 7 days. If a father, Hashem said, if a father spits, 7 days in Chayrim, or whatever you want to call it, Klima. So that's it. That's our limit, Dayoi. We don't know 14. 14 is your own common sense, but there's a limit. Now, who says that Hashem is double than human beings? Where do we know it? So Taisus brings here the Das Kenim Bali Taisvus. So I made a little chart, so the other could see. What's this? Oh boy. So unfortunately I don't have, here. Okay. So that's the Gemara. I just took it down from the Gemara. Taisus doesn't bring all this, so I figured I'll show the The Gemara talks about that what the mother gives to the child, what the father gives. There's shalish shutfim b'adam. There's 3 partners. Father gives the gidim, atzomis, tzipornaim, moyach. Gets all the white stuff, the father, all the red stuff, the mother. And Hakadosh Baruch Hu gives the ruchni, so to speak, the ruach, neshama, the cluster panim, how a face looks, the das, the bino, the seichel, re'iyah, eyesight, because eyesight is ruchnius. It's not a physical thing. To hear something, it's ruchnius. That the sound waves come this way, and I hear everything. I could listen to music, dibur, the fact that I could speak, but a lion can't speak. Hiluch, that we walk. What do you see over here? It's 10 versus 5. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is double than a human being. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives double the amount than a human being. Alkol. Here we see from the Torah, a Kal V'chomer l'chayr, it should be 14, and then it was limited to 7. That she went, she's a Mitzayra. Mitzayra has to go out of l'chutz l'machne for 7 days. Says the Gemara, you're right. Reb Tarfon, everybody agrees to the idea of dayoy. Kilas le dayoy hecha the mafrich Kal V'chomer. In our Mishnah, if we invoke the Kal V'chomer, if we invoke dayoy, what happens? We start off with the half a nezek, which says it in the Torah. We want to bring the half a nezek up to full amount, to the full nezek. That's our Kal V'chomer. If you're going to knock the Kal V'chomer, you're going to say dayoy, what's going to happen? The 0 Kal V'chomer. We go right back down to where? The Chatzi nezek. That we already had that in the Torah. Kal V'chomer. Heicha, the loy mifrach Kal V'chomer is li dayoy. But where we don't know anything, where the dayoy doesn't ruin the Kal V'chomer, then I can invoke it. I didn't know how much you have to go into seclusion when you do something to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when, so to speak, there's a eureka. That I learned from a Kal V'chomer. Now, I wanted to go full-fledged. I wanted to go 14 days. I limited it to 7. I'm not ruining the Kal V'chomer. The Kal V'chomer is still there. I'm saying if a human being is 7, so certainly HaKadosh Baruch Hu is 14. No, not 14, 7. But I'm still using a Kal V'chomer. So again, when the dayoy destroys my Kal V'chomer and I have 0, I don't use it, says Reb Tarfon. That's why I don't use it in the Mishnah. But where the dayoy doesn't ruin the Kal V'chomer, I do use it. Says the Gemara. So it's just very, very interesting. I just want to tell you this thing real quickly. That it says in the Medrash that Amram divorced his wife, and Miriam convinced him to remarry her. So when they put Moshe Rabbeinu in the Yar, he spit at her. So it says in the Medrash, he spit at her. So the flaw says like a chap. I'm just saying this down for like. He says that she never went into seclusion when he spit at her. Why? Because she held. I love when they do this. She held like Mishamai. Mishamai holds that you have to have 2 sons. Basil says son and a girl. That's enough. But Mishamai said you need 2 sons. She said, listen, Tati, you only have me and Aaron. That's not enough. You need 2 boys. So he remarried and he had another boy, but they threw him in the yard. So he's all upset. He spit at her. But later on, by Moshe Rabbeinu, she was upset that Moshe Rabbeinu divorced his wife, but he had 2 boys. Oh, so she switched to Rishita. She switched to Basil. She was saying you have to remarry Tzipora because you don't have a girl. Oh, if you hold like Basil, so now the spit that he did back then, this is the eureka that we're talking about. It also explains what the eureka is. Where did the father spit? Here he spit at Miriam, she herself that spit at. It's just very. I thought it's fascinating that because of her, Moshe Rabbeinu came to life, but she has no right to talk about it. Can't talk bad about Moshe Rabbeinu. So that's why the flaw says. That's why then she went into seclusion for that eureka. Okay. Where am I? Hasam Shiva Deshchina like Sivi. Also, the Gemara explains. Hasam Shiva Deshchina like Sivi. It doesn't talk about how much you have to go into seclusion. How much should Miriam go? All the Torah mentions is the Shiva of a father, of a human being. Also, Kavachomer Asar Beisar comes the Kavachomer says, okay, if a human being, you have to go into seclusion for 7 days. If a father spits at you, so certainly Hashem should be our Beisar 14. Also, Dayoy, then you invoke Dayoy. And it knocks down the 14 and makes it 7. It says in the Torah, when a Karen does damage, you pay half amount. It doesn't say is the difference between Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah, doesn't say any difference. You want to invoke a Kavachomer and say that if you do damage in the Nizuk's property, you should pay the full amount. So the Kavachomer only has one thing going on for it. It's taking you from a half to full. If you knock down the whole back to half, if you're Kavachomer, then you have zero Kavachomer, and then you don't invoke Dayoy, says Reb Chaim. Okay, fine. Just to fix it up a little bit. Rabbanon hold what? That you say Dayoy even when it slugs up the Kavachomer. When it destroys the Kavachomer. Shiva the Shechina Ksivi. It does say the 7 of the of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because it says Tisogir Shivas Yamim. Now, the Dayoy is ruining the entire Kavachomer. In other words, once the Torah does say 7 for Hashem, so what's the Kavachomer that Hashem said in the Torah? That you should up it to 14. So now we already have 7, we're upping to 14. You want to take Dayoy and knock it down back to 7, meaning the Kavachomer does nothing. Shiva the Shechina Ksivi, so Shivas Yamim. No, that tisog is not to tell us that when you insult Hashem, so to speak, you have to be put in seclusion for 7 days. No, that tisog is just to tell us dayo, the idea of dayo. Okay, so in a drasha kind of sugi now, it says twice here. And then it says in pasuk Tazor, Miriam. It says twice tisoger. That's, you need 2 psukim. Why? One in the case of Moshe Rabbeinu, this dayo, and one in all over the Torah. Why? Maybe, what happened over here? Moshe Rabbeinu davened on behalf of his sister. What's the famous lashon? El no refanallah. Kel no refanallah. Which the Gemara in Bracha says that Moshe Rabbeinu davened 40 days and everything, but he also had a tefillah k'tzara. There's only 5 words, which l'chari means, what does it mean, tefillah k'tzara? It means that sometimes you daven and you daven and you daven non-stop. Somebody doesn't have a child, yeah? He's married for 20 years, doesn't have children. He davens and davens and doesn't stop davening. That's one type of davening. Person doesn't have a shidduch, whatever it is. And then there's a tefillah k'tzara. It's help. One word. 5 words. It's concise and it's powerful. And sometimes it's just as effective as a very long tefillah. That's what you see. Bekel no refanallah. Just reminded me of a story, a famous story. There was in Milchemet Yom Kippur. There was it really starts like there was a bunch of chayalim that they wanted to know what bracha do you make on a watermelon. So one guy said eitz, one guy said hadama, one guy said shahakal. So why shahakal? He says because in Milchemet Yom Kippur they were surrounded by all these Egyptian tanks, and the mifaked said, "Does anybody know how to daven?" So they said no. So one guy said, "Yeah, I know one thing. I know how to say shahakal because my grandmother, when she gave me candy, she'd say make a shahakal. Shahakal." So every time they put a missile, one of those things into the cannon of the thing, they all said Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvoroi, and they would destroy a tank. That's what they did. So he says that's why I thought maybe if shahakal works on a tank, shahakal works on a watermelon. That was his thing. But to me, it was a very powerful message. It doesn't matter what you daven, as long as you're sincere, as long as you say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, you say Shahakal Niyeh b'dvoroi, whatever it is. Like you guys, some of you know this, but I once made a Bar Minei Mezainis on my tzitzis early in the morning. And Baruch Hashem Bar Minei. So it doesn't matter what you make, as long as you have kavanah HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, no, but seriously. It's a beautiful story. Shahakal Niyeh b'dvoroi, they're saved. They destroyed all those tanks, all the Egyptians had led. I once read actually, that Israelis took from Egypt, I don't know if it's true, they took 700 tanks. Till this day, they have 700 Egyptian, they're like 4,000 tanks, and 700 are from Egypt. Okay. Another very important thing is that the Zohar says, the Elimelech should know this, that when it comes to the war of Yishmael, I don't know if it's now or if it's going to be, but the war of Yishmael is going to be won by Yishma Kel. that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu hears the tefillah of Klal Yisrael, it's through tefillah. And it doesn't say Torah, tefillah. Yishma Kel, it's going to be when Klal Yisrael just davens and they daven from their heart. That's going to be the geula from Yishma. Zok the Gemara. And maybe, this is a good opportunity. I didn't think about it, but it's a very good opportunity. MDY has a Tehillim thing. I don't like pushing a lot of stuff, and we're pushing the to take Dapim for Robert Early's son. However, at the same time, it doesn't hurt. Maybe I'll jump on, remind me, Yosef, to go on to the MDY Tehillim group. And if Klal Yisrael, if we could get a bunch of people to say Tehillim, we'll go through Tehillim every day. It's a big thing. Tefillah, Yishma Kel, against these Rishon Marur. Something more. So I would think, I just went off on a tangent here. I would think that Moshe Rabbeinu was davening Kelna Refanallah, please help her. So in that case, we'll say, okay, Dayai. Maybe it's a special Dayai for Moshe Rabbeinu. He's Moshe Rabbeinu, and he davened to Hashem. So he said, you know what? We won't punish her for 14 days. We'll punish her for 7 days. But everywhere else in the Torah, maybe you don't say Dayai. Kamash Malon, you say it everywhere. That's what you need to do. Okay. New. We're not. It's not a new sugya, but we're moving on to something else now. Well, I did find a Tana, and like I said, there is no Tana. We're going to figure out that there is no Tana. But he says, I think I found a Tana. Here's a Tana that doesn't say Dayai, even when it doesn't destroy Kavachomer. It doesn't do Dayai. Sanyo, Keri Bezov Minayim. How do you know that there's Tumah of Keri when a person is Zav? So I didn't bring the charts that we did yesterday. I think it was people walked out of the Shir. People that don't know what Zav and Zav is, now they know. 3 Riyah is 3 days. Okay. Zav, again, somebody has an emission from a disease. So what if that person is also, he becomes about Keri? The Zera itself is a metama b'mago b'masa. So there's a lot of new concepts today. Maga means you touch something that's tummy. Masa, you lift it. Heses, you move it. Moishav, you sit on it. Mishkav, you lay on it. What else? Medras, you step on it. Okay. Now, Rabbi say, if you have an art scroll, do me a favor. Look at the Hebrew side now. I want to do a little thing. Everybody has art scroll. I want you to read the next line and a half by yourself. It's something special. I'll read it with you. Ma tahar b'tahar tamei b'tamei tamei b'tahar enedin sheyeh tamei b'tamei. Geschmack, no? Ah? You don't have Nekudas from Zalman.
No.
Could you read it?
It's almost like when you did the
Matar betar tam. Okay, so what does it mean? Okay. Not bad. Zalman, you read it nicely. So it goes like this. Matar betar. When a person is tar, his spit is tar. A person who's tar, who just went to the mikvah, whatever, he's tar, like in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, and he spits at somebody, he spits at a kli, it remains tar. Tamei, betamei. But if a person is a zav, he himself is a zav, his spit is tamei b'maga u b'masa. We have to remember b'maga u b'masa. Here, look at this pasuk. V'chiyaroik hazav b'tar. If a zav spits, so Rashi brings this right over here. Wow, I can't believe how much time went by because it is a tougher daf. I wanted to go slow. Rashi brings this word batar, that if a person is holding a kli, he's holding this, and a zav spits at him, it's yorek hazav batar. It's not in a person. It doesn't say person. He's holding something. And even that becomes tameh. That's called masa. So even something he's holding becomes tameh. Tameh batar. and it did. So that's a person that's tar, and a person that's tamei, his ziva is tamei b'mago maso. So tamei b'tar, and it didn't sheyeh tamei b'tamei. So if a person who is a balkeri, zera is metame. Certainly, if he's a zav, if his whole body is tummy, certainly the carry should be metame. So he did a thing, and just have to go backwards a little bit, sorry. Okay, so just real quick. Roik, the spittle of a tar person is tar. But the spit of somebody who's tame, of a zav, is metame b'mago b'masa. So the zera of somebody who's tar is tame b'mago. So certainly the zera of a tame should be tame b'mago b'masa. But where's the daya over here? You see the daya? It pops out right away. The daya. You're going tame, a guy who's tar. His zera is tame, but only mago. Only mago. So the zera of somebody who's tame, if he's a zav, certainly he should be tame b'mago u b'masa. Your kavachomer is jumping. It's like similar to going from half a nezek of a keren to a whole nezek. You're going from a tame mago, the zera is tame, only b'mago, to zera should be tame mago masa. And that's why the Gemara says, Dayoy, stop. So Yoshi already went to sleep. It was already 2:00 in the morning. So I told him for next time, he has to take off the word masa now. Stop. Dayoy, but remove the word masa. It should be similar to the guy right next to him that's only Tommy Maga. Okay. Says the Gemara, we call Maisi law, Bein Lamaga, Bein Lamasa. You brought your kavachomer that a guy that's a zav, he should be metamo for maga emasa. V'mai neimahani kavachomer lamaga. The kavachomer should be good enough for one thing only, lamaga. Ahani daya lapuki masa. And then you invoke daya and you knock off the masa and you live with maga. V'chitei melamaga lo yitzur kavachomer. Oh, time out. It doesn't make sense, right? Why, Simi?
You know he's tummy.
That's right, Simi. You know he's tummy. Why? Because a tar person, his zera is tummy. So if he's a zav, he's no worse than a tar person, and he should be tummy. No, it's rich. You do need. Leilo. Maybe zera of a tar person is when mikra it happened the night. But that just won't go off or something? Yeah. Okay. I think you could. Oh, it's going on and off? Fine. In other words, this person is sick. He has a disease. He's a zav. So certain things come out of his body. So maybe those certain things, maybe the zera is not metama. It's part of his disease. That's the Gemara. So at the end of the day, that's why you do need a kavachomer. And the kavachomer is not moving from the daya. Okay. Says the Gemara, midi v'loy davar achiksiv. It doesn't say, it says mikra leilo, but it doesn't say, oh, but not if it comes from something else. You're making too much of a deal. Okay? So the bottom line is, that's why the kavachomer is for the masa. And I can't invoke a daya here, because it's going to break up the whole kavachomer. Maga I know. So what am I using the kavachomer? To add something to it. So if I add something to it, and I use daya to take that thing off, then I have zero kavachomer. What does the kavachomer do? Oh, so I have a manda omar that even when the daya ruins my kavachomer, I do say. Says Gemara, man tam the shamas leid omar shechvazera shezom tam masa. Who is this manda omar that does say shechvazera is mitam masa? Lo Reb Eliezer v'lo Reb Yeshua. Okay, it's not shechvazera shezov mitam maga ve'ein mitam masa. The Reb Eliezer. Okay, so here's a manda omar that says no, zera is not mitama b'masa. Mefurish. Even he doesn't hold that's mitama masa. Why? Because, as the Gemara is going to explain, that this guy is a Zav, and he has an emission of Zera. But maybe it's Metama because there's a little bit of Ziva in there. That's why it's Tameh. There's a little bit of Ziva left in his body. But Zera by itself wouldn't be Metama. Okay, so who is it? So Rashi says here, very interesting. There's a Mishnah. There's Gavaldic stuff, Rabbi. I'm telling you, like we go through these sugyas and we're going to be back in Bava Kama soon, but just to get a heck of a better idea in Tumat Tahira, like the Rambam says, you have to know Tumat Tahira, like you know Ashri Balpeh. I think he says such a lashon. But like Abonim, there's three types of Avisatuma: Sheretz, Zera, and somebody that touches that person. But these three are only if you touch them. And the Mishnah says, L'mala mehem, what's even worse, a bigger tumah than that goes even for Masa? Zoyvish Azov, top of Chafei Amud Beis. Zoyvish Azov, V'roikoi, the spittle of Azov is even worse. Like I said before, Metambe b'maga, touching, and Masa. Doesn't even mean, by the way, it doesn't even mean touching. You're going to ask, well, you're touching. No, Masa means it's in a cup, and you go like that. You're also become Tameh. But look what it says. Zoyvish Azov, the zebra that comes out of the Zav's body, if you touch that, even b'masa you're Tameh. V'roikoi and a spit. V'shich v'zarei. Oh, over here it says mefurish shich v'zera. Of a zav is metama. That's what we're trying to look here. B'mago u'b'masa. U'mei meiraglo v'nezira. V'dam anida. That's also very strong tumah. Metamim beim b'mago beim b'masa. As the Gemara who told you. V'dim the same answer we said before. Maybe the Shechva Zera, the reason why it's Metama, not because it itself is Tameh, but because it contains within it a little bit of Ziva. Says the Gemara, very simple. Look at the first words over here on the Amud. It says Zovish Zav. What should be the next word? The Shechva Zera. Because if you're telling me that Shechva Zera is Ziva, it has a little bit of Ziva in it, so that should be the next word. So why does the word spit separate between the two? Elamai, spit actually is where we learn Shechva Zera from. This Kavachomer that we just said is from spit. Yeah? Look at the chart for a second, just to remind you that we're learning Mago Masa from spit. That's why it says Roik and then Shechva Zera. Okay, it's not going to because I'm learning it from spit. The turning of the daf is sponsored by Chanan Averbuch in memory Eli Nishmat Binyamin Mayer Ben Ze'ev David, his holy nephew, the son of Robert and Jen Early, and Eli Nishmat Binyamin Mayer Ben Ze'ev David and Bezer Hashem. Even if we only did 1,000 daf, which is a tremendous accomplishment. A tremendous 1,000 daf, who would think? But maybe we'll be able to get, if Tehillim pushes themselves a little bit. I'm going to ask some guys in the Koilel. I asked Rabbi Didi Kramer today. He took like 25 daf. I got some guys, but Tehillim can jump on. It's mamash easy. Bezer Hashem, we're starting tonight. Shkolim, 14 hours Shkolim. We're going to take a little walk. Got to lose a little weight. Shmak. A little weight. I never weighed this much in my entire life. Something about the food here in America. It's never buying. And everything is a car here, there. Oh, another sugya. This is geschmack stuff. The sanya. Well, I have another man domer that doesn't say dayoy, even though it doesn't ruin the Gavachomer. It doesn't ruin the Gavachomer, and he still doesn't say dayoy. Says the Gemara, the sanya mapas b'meis menayin. Let's see what we have here. Okay, here. This is a mapot. This is like a mat made out of wood. What is that called? Pshute kliates. It has no shape, no form, nothing. Pshute kliates. The problem is that the Torah, let me see if I have the pasuk here. Yeah. V'chol beged, v'chol klior. What does the Torah say becomes tameh? A piece of clothing, leather, ma'aseizim, kliates. You know, this made out of wood, but it's a kli. Don't say anywhere in the Torah a flat piece of wood that you use as a mat. So how do I know Mapat's been maced, that it touched the dead person, minayin. How do you know that it becomes tummy? Bidinu. Kavachomer. Uma pachim ktanim shetohirim bezov. Here's pachim ktanim, which, by the way, is Parashas Shavua with Yaakov Avinu and the pachim ktanim. I once heard, why did Yaakov Avinu go back for pachim ktanim? Imagine if the Chaim or the Baal Shem Tov, okay, you understand that. Shem Tov gave you like a little $2 siddur. Here. Came in, you got a bracha, he gave you $2 siddur. Wouldn't you turn over the world if you lost it, you left it in the airport? Because Baruch Hu, he felt like everything that he had, everything was from HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. It's a gift from Hashem. I'm not going to go back. Fine. I heard it from a Hasidic Rebbe, so that's why I'm saying the Baal Shem Tov. That's, I know you think, Hasidim all the time. Fine. Ma'abaz b'meiz b'nai. V'dinu. Ma'abach mitanim also. Pach mitanim is coming up with Chanukah. Shetoyim bezov. A pach, cotton is tor bezov. Mitame b'meis. A small pach is tor when it comes to ziva. But is mitama b'meis when you put oil. I don't know, we're running out of time here. Here. This is Maga Rabbi Yisai. If you want to see Maga real quickly, you don't need to see it, but Maga just means to touch. This is Yosef Klein. Touch the mace. If the mace touched him, that becomes avatuma. Becomes red. The mace himself touched him. Then you have masa. Masa would be to lift him. It's not the most givaldic. This is back in the day. It was hard for him to manipulate this, but he lifted it up also. Now this is oil. Tumas oil means that there's a dead person in a room, and everything that goes into the room, everything that's in the room, becomes tamei. So, now, a kli cheres. Let me show you real quickly over here. We're talking about a pach katan that's made out of earthenware, as you saw in the picture. I'm just trying to skip forward here. Here, this guy. Let's say this is an earthenware, right? It should say an cheres. The only way you can make a piece of pottery, earthenware, tamei, is not by touching it, not by moving it. The only way is like that. When you put a sheretz in the airspace of it, then it becomes red, it becomes tamei. So, since we're talking about pachim tanim, a zav who touches them, they remain tahar, but nevertheless, that same mitame b'meis, if you take this pach katan and you put in the oil, it will become tamei. So therefore, kavachomer mapot shemitame b'zav. Since the mapot, where's the pasuk? I don't know if we have it here. Oh, here. If a zav lays down on something, so certainly it becomes tamei. Since this pasuk is talking about a zav, says that if a zav lays down on a mat, but what a mat? The mat becomes tamei. So certainly, when it comes to tumas hameis, which is more chomer than zav, why? Because when it comes to pachim tanim, only by mace becomes tamei, by zav doesn't become tamei. So something that becomes tamei by zav, certainly it should become tamei by mace. Now, Rabbi said, how many days should become tamei by mace? Typically, tumas mace is 7. Now, okay, fine. But we're not really talking about it. Says the Gemara. So, by zav, how long will it become tamei by zav? Rabbi say, how long is the tumas of zav? The kli? 1 day. 1 day. So you see what's going on here? You want to take something that becomes tamei for 1 day, and you want to make a kavachomer to the mace, but by mace, you're going up to 7 days. So what are you supposed to do? Dayo. You're trying to make a kavachomer that not only should it become tamei for 1 night, it should become tamei for 7 days. The kavachomer is beautiful, and yes, the mat should become tamei by a dead person. but only l'tuma serev, only for one night, because I'm learning it out from Zav, and Zav is only one night. We're learning Tuma. Hold on. Sorry. Learning Tuma. So somebody said once that the reason why we have plasticware, chat pami, I see chat pami in English. Disposable. Thank you. The reason why we have disposable is because pretty soon Mashiach is going to come, and we're not going to know what to do. We're not going to have kelim that are tar. Everything's tummy, and you have to go. And most people don't even know what to do with it. You put it in the mikveh, out of the mikveh, put it in the kelim mikveh. What do you do? You burn it. We don't know. So in the beginning, we're going to have chad pami, etc.
Nice.
Fine. What?
Nice ones.
Disposable. Yeah, the fancy ones. The ones that I did a shever brachas on my porch, and the father of the kala, I saw him afterwards when nobody's looking, took them all. Took everything. So I asked him afterwards, what happened? He goes, what do you mean what happened? I have a gemach where the Yushalmis live. And I'm like the most popular person in the neighborhood. They're coming. It's like, what are you crazy? You're going to throw out this fancy... He washed it and they wash it again. So I said, but then you could just buy regular stuff and wash that. No, ain't it diamond. It's free. Okay, fine. Next. Somebody already beat you to the question. It's already an old question. And Abai answered it. He wasn't asking from a mace. He was asking, he brought the kavachomer from a sheret. So what do we gain? Because sheret, the tumah, is only 1 day. It's 1-to-1. It's a good kavachomer. The question was on mapats of a sheret, not a mapats of a mace. I never wanted to know 7 days. I want to know 1 day. How do I know that a wooden mat when it touches a dead sheret? And if you want to know, here's the thing of shrotzim. Again, it's kedai to see. Here's sherets, and over here for toad it says tsav, which is a turtle. He goes pfeifen because it's not a turtle, it's a toad. And here you have a frog is tar, a toad is tummy. Fine. This is the shema. These are the 8 shrotzim that the Torah says are tummy. How do I know that if one of these are dead and touches the wooden mat? It becomes Tameh Evidinu. Okay, we're going to go through the whole thing. It's maybe sheret, a small earthenware piece. If a zov touches it, it's nothing. But a sheret is metama. Why is a sheret metama? Explains Rashi, because he could put a tiny piece of his sherets into it, smaller than his finger, the size of adash, as we'll see in a second. Mapot shetamim b'zov and it didn't shetamim b'sheret. So certainly, okay. So this is perfect. Now you don't have to use dayo. This is a perfect kavachomer. 1-to-1. 1 day by sherets. 1 day. I'm sorry, by zav. 1 day by sherets. And then she told me sherets. Ella. Okay. Very very nice. Nice. You got out of it. Shkoyach. Nice trick. Ella mabes b'meis minayit. Okay, but I still want to know. How do I know mat by a dead person? How do I know that? That's Tommy. And whatever you're going to tell me, I'm still going to have the same question. How do you know 7 days? So this says the Gemara, never beged var b'sheretz, v'never beged var b'meis. So this is called Xer Shava. We have the same words by sheretz, same words by meis. Ma beged var, amar b'sheretz, ma patz tamei boy. We already learned the kavachomer, and we know that a wooden mat is tamei by a sheretz. Beged var, amar b'meis, ma patz tamei boy. So too by a dead person. Says the Gemara. Okay, so now we have to learn a yesod. When we talk about Xer Shava, there has to be extra words that are available. Because if there's no extra words that are available to learn Xer Shava, and how many words available? By the sheret and by the zav, or maybe just by the zav, or maybe just by the sheret. So we'll see in a second. But if there's no words available, I could just knock off this Xer Shava with an easy pircha. So that's called mufna. Mufna. We're going to learn a few yesodis today. More yesodis. Mufna. There has to be that there's extra word. Diloi mufna, because if it's not extra, I could ask a simple question. Here we go. Let me just get through this. Sorry. You'll notice that when I'm back in Bet Shemesh, I don't have to go through all this stuff. So, sheretz is metama with the size of a lentil. A dead person is only metama the size of an olive. which is much larger. So Mela, I would say that a sheretz is different. Like, you're right, says the Gemara. Yeah, it has to be. Yes, there's extra word there. There's a hekesh between sheretz and shikvazera. Then the following pasuk talks about sheretz. So they're right next to each other. Smuchim. If whatever halacha I already have by shikvazera, I should have it by sheretz. Why does the Torah repeat those words of beged var? Oh, they're extra. So we have extra words. Says Gemara, that's only we have extra words by sheretz. But we made exer shava from sheretz to zav. So both have to have extra words in both of them. That's good. As long as you have in one extra word in one of the two cases, that's great. But according to the other man, they need extra words in both. And you could otherwise, you have a good pircha. What are you going to do? Says Gemara, there's extra words there. There's a hekesh between mace and shikvazera. Again, same words are extra. Why do I need these extra words? I already have a hekesh. I have extra words on both sides. Now, one more yisoid, and then that's it for today. This is a beautiful, very, very, it's simple stuff, our boys say. Simple. And by the way, tomorrow gets much easier, and we're going to be good until the end of the pair. This is a machlokes. When it comes to Gzeir Shava, they say doi mina umina or doi mina vuki basra. What does that mean? Exactly what we said up till now. When I learn, let's say, a dead person touching a mat from a zav. Zav, okay, dead person, the mat will become tummy. But for how many days? 1 or 7. So if I say doi mina umina, I have to learn everything from a zav. I'm going to learn that it's tamei, and for how long also? For how long? 1 day. But if I hold doimina, I learn one halacha from it. I learned that the mat becomes tamei. For how long? Uki basra. Let's learn the halachas of mace. That's what you guys were thinking, no? First, I'm going to learn that it's tamei. How long? Whatever a tamei mace is tamei. Let me open up the Shulchan Aruch. Tamei mace is usually tamei for 7 days. 7 days. But it depends. Some people say no. When you're going to learn Gzeir Shava, you have to learn 100%. All the halachas from there. All the halachas is zav. A, that it becomes tamei, just like a zav. But B, only for 1 day. Says the Gemara like this, very simple. That you leave it as is. By a mace, if he touches a mat of wood, it should only become tamei for 1 day. There's a special case of kasav. You, chusim shiva, there's a minimum of 7 days by a mace. That's exercise. You're right. There's daimin of umina. But over here, there's exercise kasav that says that has to be 7 days. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. And now we're going to say Tehillim together. Shirra malo ismi mamakim krosicho adinoi adinoi shemo bikoili tieno zav kashuvois lekoi dachanunoi. Ima veloiz shmorio adinoi mi yamoid kimcha slicho leman tivorei kivisi adinoi kivso nafshi v'lveroi cholti nafshi ladinoi mishomrin laboiker yachel Yisrael el adinoi kim adinoi achesed varbeimo yifedus v'hu yivdas Yisrael mikol lavenisav achenu kobes Yisrael anasunu b'tzor v'shivyo oidim b'mayom u'b'mayavosho Amogim raglim zim tzor lebachom afel loyro mishiv legula hashto bagalov zman kuriv v'rimar omei shkoyach